Hello, this is meteorologist Bill Steffen. Thanks for joining me on this Memorial Day as we look back through history and remember those who served in the armed forces here. We got a nice day coming up here in West Michigan. It'll be a couple degrees warmer than it was yesterday, and we will be seeing some sunshine here today as well. Here's where the severe storms are going to be. Once again, the southern U.S. Crunch time there. Look at that large yellow area. That's a level 2 or slight risk area, mainly in Texas, but includes a portion of Louisiana, far southeastern Oklahoma, and southwest Arkansas. And the marginal risk, level 1 in the dark green color, runs all the way from New Mexico and Colorado to the Atlantic Ocean. So that's where the heavy thunderstorms are going to be. It's not just isolated severe weather, it's also a continuing round after round of thunderstorms that's producing some heavy rainfall there as well. And we'll move ahead here to this is going to be Tuesday. And as you can see, we've got the storms down in Texas, and then that dark green marginal outlook all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. That stays well south of the Great Lakes area. We will be staying dry. Take a look at rainfall. This is just amazing. Look at that huge area. Anything yellow is over an inch of rain in 66 hours. The orange would be over 2 inches, and the red would be over 3 or 4 inches there. Large area from the Rio Grande up through Texas, all the way to east of Pennsylvania. It does include some rain for Michigan. And if we go to the next slide, I'll be able to show you that the rainfall here in Michigan is going to be for Tuesday night and Wednesday. So we're dry today. I think we're dry most all of Tuesday. Cross your fingers so we can still get in the softball leagues and the golf leagues Tuesday evening, but that's going to be pushing it a little bit. But there will be rain late Tuesday night and especially during the day on Wednesday. That will be the rainiest day of this coming week. And if you take a look at the amounts there, we're basically in the 1/10 to 1 1/2 inch category with the heavier rain totals coming Tuesday evening and early Wednesday along the lakeshore there north of Muskegon. Well, let's take some time out and thank our sponsors. Here's Michelle.
And we are so grateful for our Bill Steffen sponsors for making it possible to do our show. Complete Care Concierge serves all of West Michigan. They are the fast, efficient, and affordable cleaning service. You can be all ready for summer for your home, your apartment, your condo, your rental. They can do special situations. They can do routine cleaning. 616-264-1397. 616-264-1397, and we'll put the phone number in the show notes. And here's a word from our other sponsor.
When your home needs help, you might not know where to start. Why not ask Ace? We're always here to help with Ace Handyman Services. Our talented craftsmen handle everything from drywall and carpentry to doors and kitchens. We're the neighbors you trust to get the job done right. Let's get started. Book your handyman appointment today. Ace Handyman Services, bringing helpful to your home.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Well, we certainly had a cool pattern here, but that certainly hasn't stopped the boats from coming out. That was a picture taken Sunday afternoon at the Muskegon Channel. And look at that, an endless parade of boats, despite the fact that the weather was cool. And I don't suppose anybody's going to be jumping in the lake water there, which remains to be quite cold. Water temperatures along the lake are anywhere from the mid-40s to low 50s for Lake Michigan. Inland, Reed's lake water temperature did make it up to 62 today. I think their temperature rose 4 degrees from sunrise to mid-afternoon. But take a look here, the average high temperature at 73, and the high temperatures here for Grand Rapids included 68 in Grand Rapids. That was 5 degrees cooler than average. 55 at the South Haven Lighthouse, and the Muskegon Pier, just 52, the high temperature out there. So that was pretty chilly there, but look at all those boats. All right, let's go on and take a look at the lake forecast here for this Memorial Day. We're calling for winds to be generally northeast. I think the wind may turn northwest right at the lake coming in off the water, and that'll hold the temperatures down. I think you'll see the temperature rise up into the mid-50s, maybe upper 50s, and then it will level off and maybe even drop a couple of degrees here. That pick is from Holland State Park, and that is sponsored by Big B Coffee. So if you ever go into a Big B Coffee, tell them thank you for sponsoring the beach camera and several other cameras in the Holland area that they allow us to use. Kind of neat. Okay, headlines. Dry weather through Tuesday morning, rain for Tuesday night and Wednesday. One of our models has the chance of rain Wednesday at 90%, so that's pretty confident of that. A little bit warmer than it has been. We should be 3 or 4 degrees warmer Memorial Day than we were on Sunday, and no severe weather. And something kind of interesting, I did not change that graphic. That's the same graphic that we used yesterday, and that is because the weather hasn't changed. The forecast is essentially the same. So interesting. That doesn't happen too terribly often. Okay, low temperatures here Sunday morning. You can see we were down to 30 in Cadillac. There was frost up there, and throughout portions of the Northland, there was a frost advisory in effect from US 10 to the north. Grayling was 33, and that's at the 5-foot level. Big Rapids and Ludington at 34. Normally, we like to see at 36 or above for the 5-foot low temperatures here to keep us from getting any damaging frost. Grand Rapids and Ionia at 40. And I would think the temperatures here will probably be a degree or two warmer early Monday morning. And that picture is sunrise in downtown Holland, Sunday, May 25th, 2025. You know we're getting towards summer when that sun is setting there right by the old bank building right there, the tower that's sticking up. But beautiful sunrise this morning as well. There's some temperatures here today. 71 for Grand Rapids. I think we'll be anywhere from partly to mostly sunny, mostly clear skies overnight. We've got a very thin crescent moon out there here during the early morning. Temperatures in Grand Rapids should bottom out at about 43 early. Winds generally northeast in inland areas, 5 to 10, probably closer to the 10 during the afternoon. And the humidity level dips to around 45%. So let's take a look at some high temperatures here during the day today. We're looking for readings up around 70, 71 in inland areas during the afternoon. You can see South Haven there on the left side at 58. So that lake breeze should be kicking in. If you're walking the pier, probably 56. Downtown South Haven, 58 or 59. And once you get 10 miles inland from the lake, it ought to be pretty close to 70 degrees. And we got the UP up there above my head here, and you can see their temperatures have warmed up as well, even down by the water, anywhere from mid-50s to mid-60s will be the rule there across the UP. And the outlook here for Tuesday calls for temperatures to be around 70 in inland areas. And again, it will be a touch cooler near the lake. 65, we've got a high for South Haven during the day on Tuesday, and temperatures on the mild side up in the UP if you're heading up in that direction. Taking a look at the long-range outlook here. First of all, out Monday through Friday for the work week. We got the flag up there for Memorial Day today, 71 degrees, nice day, partly to mostly sunny. I think all of Tuesday will be dry, but watch out for some showers to move in Tuesday night. There'll be showers here on Wednesday, and not a sure thing, but a chance of a shower here Thursday and Friday, along with maybe more clouds than sun here. Temperatures fall back into the 60s for Wednesday and Thursday. Nothing drastically cool for late May, but a little cooler than we're going to be out there today with a high of 71. Long-range outlook takes us into the above-average category for a change. The near to below is down to the south where they continue to get rain, but the warm air is spreading from the Rockies eastward across the Great Lakes and into New England. And by the time we hit that, you can see up there it says valid June 2 through the 8th. By the time we hit the June 6 to 8 in there, I would suspect there'll be temperatures in the low to mid 80s up here across the Great Lakes, and we certainly will be starting to warm up and push towards summer. In terms of rainfall, there's a lot of it off to the west and south of us once again, near normal here in West Michigan. That may pick up just a little bit here toward the end of that period around the 7th or 8th, but really not all that bad for forecast here as we enter the month of June. So, Michelle, keep the umbrella handy. You're going to need it down there in Birmingham. We got a nice Memorial Day coming up here.
Yeah, we've got some weather about to roll through right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the first Memorial Day was in 1868 to honor Civil War veterans. The Grand Army of the Republic was a Union Army veterans organization after the Civil War, and they also did some lobbying. So their leader proclaimed May 30 as Memorial Day. And then in 1971, it became a federal holiday and then moved to the last Monday of May.
And I remember it when it was May the 30th, and it would fall on any day of the week, and it was a big holiday. But
I think there's a federal law, something about the uniform holiday, something or other, that the holidays need to be on Fridays and Mondays.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Christmas is going to be December the 25th, but in terms of Memorial Day, Labor Day, that kind of thing, yeah, those are going to fall on Monday's President's Day. Yeah, but yeah, that's interesting to know.
Okay, so on one of the shows yesterday or the day before, you said that you only had one IMDb credit, and that is not true. I'm fact checking you. You actually have two.
Oh, okay.
So here you go. There's your IMDb.
And what does IMDb stand for?
Well, that's funny you should ask. There we go. Do we know? You read my mind.
I'm mostly done something. I don't know.
Okay, so back to this. So in addition to the lip dub, you spoke on an episode of Secrets of the Underground.
That was on a Science Channel?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I was the guest on the Science Channel once. It's kind of interesting how many stations I've been on, over the years. I was with WZZM and then Wood TV here. I remember doing the auctions for Channel 35, PBS here in town.
Those were fun.
I was on a children's program in Chicago on TV once when I was a kid, my first taste of television. But that's interesting. All right, you were going to tell me what IMDb stands for.
We'll see if I can give you hints and you can get there. The first one is internet.
Okay, internet.
Mm-hmm.
Moose, I don't know. I'm not going to help you much here.
Internet movie database.
Database. Oh, okay. And I'm in there twice, huh?
Mm-hmm. So it's a database of who's been in what movie. Which is,
okay. I know I was in the clip. They used a clip of the lip dub in the Paramount movie on Don McLean and American Pie. So that's the big thing. I did film a day out in Hollywood. It wasn't for a movie; it was for a promotion out there. But I did film with Universal Studios for a day, and that was back in the was it the 80s or the 90s? Something like that. We had to get a babysitter for you kids. So I flew out there, and one thing I remember is we got to stay in the main hotel, and the lower hotel for all the flunkies like me was full. So they shoved us up on the 23rd floor where all the big stars were, and I thought that was pretty cool.
So if you're watching at home, this is how his life goes. Like we were flying back from London, and they were like, "Here, senior man, instead of being in the regular security line, would you like to go to this easier, better security line, even though you don't have the British version of TSA PreCheck? Right this way, sir. When you went to Walt Disney World and one of your former so-and-sos knew someone that worked there and they upgraded you to super duper famous and you stayed at the Grand Floridian."
That was so weird because I had a special card that allowed me to cut in line on any ride. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of movie stars and TV stars walking around who had these cards. And so when I went on a ride, I remember going on, was it Iron Dragon or one of those there? It was
Wrong
one of those.
Park, Iron Dragon, Cedar Point. You probably mean Space Mountain.
No, okay. Well, anyhow, so I go on this. It's a mild roller coaster. It's not one of the really crazy ones. Mm. I got off it, and there were all these people waiting to get my autograph because they assumed I was somebody famous. And I was going right ahead. I was signing my autograph. Oh yeah. You probably see me before on television. Oh yeah, I've done a lot of television. Sure, I was eating it up.
This is the Bill hangs out with Bob Saget and sneaks onto the stage of Good Morning America episode.
Yeah, that was. I remember Bob Saget and I had an interesting talk. He was a fascinating guy. He had 3 daughters, and of course I have 3 daughters, so we were kind of exchanging notes there. Mm-hmm. There were ABC was Cap Cities, and they owned Disney, or Disney owned them, one of the two. It was probably Disney owned them. And so there were anybody was on ABC was there. All these famous people, the cast of Full House and Family Matters, and John Denver was there, and all these people were just walking around. Some of them were just plain and simply just on their own, just kind of walking around. And I remember passing Lou Rawls, who was a famous singer. Most of you probably wouldn't remember who Lou Rawls was. He had a great voice. And I stopped him and I said, I wondered if you sang while my dad was playing drums, because my dad did a lot of jazz on the south side of Chicago. And we sat down and had a nice chat for about 15 minutes. And I just thought this was pretty cool.
So if you're watching at home, this was when I was in the 9th grade. And if you're wondering if he brought me along on this trip, the answer is no. Sore subject.
No,
but
no.
he did bring me up. He did bring me back the free CD that he got in his super duper famous gift bag from the Grand Floridian. And I played it all the time because it was pretty awesome.
I still have a special, excuse me, I have a special from that particular week, the 25th anniversary of Disney. I have a bottle of Coca-Cola that is specifically for this, and it's been sitting on the shelf here for, I don't know what, 30 years or something like that.
It's probably
Isn't that amazing? Internet Movie Database. I got to remember that because I've seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I'm actually there twice. Wow. Cool.
Yeah, so this is how his life goes. If there's something better, someone just decides, like, here, stay in this nicer hotel. Don't go through that security line. Go through this better one. He has no idea how normal people live.
Talk to my brother about that because he's felt the same thing that I got
I've heard his stories.
Yeah.
Yes. So for most of us, it's like, hello, hotel staff. Can I please have that room I booked? Maybe, please. That would be nice. It's not like, right this way, Mr. Steffen. I hope you're comfortable.
My brother, I remember one time he came home, he was out and he was supposed to be back by midnight.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up back here at like 12:02 and my dad grounded him for like 2 weeks.
And you could show up at like 2 in the morning.
Comes home like 3 days later and you don't do anything to him.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Okay, we're going to go in reverse order from the most recent to the furthest for May 26th. So May 26, 2021, Midwest Living magazine named Saugatuck the best beach town in the Midwest. Do you agree?
I think Saugatuck's a great beach, and I don't know if they were referring to one beach in particular, Oval Beach or Saugatuck State Park. I love Saugatuck State Park because the beach goes on forever. You can just walk forever and get exercise, just enjoy the beach and walking around. There's a lot of people there that leave me alone. They're not always running up to me and wanting to chat for 10, 20 minutes. So I can be there with the family and all that kind of stuff. But and they had the debacle.
Is great. I would have to give it to Manistee.
You like Manistee?
Mm-hmm. I used to stop there on my drives back downstate when I lived up north. There was a candy store I'd always stop at. So maybe I just like associate it with like it being a relaxing, restful place. But I like Manistee. Well,
there's so many great beaches there. I mean, I used to go down to Van Buren State Park and camp out by myself. There would always be people that I would meet, when I introduced myself and everything. But Van Buren State Park and then South Haven has a great beach. We show pictures of that every now and then. We got Hoffmaster State Park, which is a closer one to Grand Rapids. So I used to take you girls there all the time. Mm-hmm. If you remember going there. And we just had a great time.
May 26, 1967, so a few years back, the first 2 women were sworn in as Michigan State Police officers.
It's hard to believe that occurred as late as 1967. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, as of 2022, what percent of Michigan State Troopers are women?
I'll say 20%.
9%.
Okay. Well, we're getting up a little.
A handful of years ago now, but 91% out of 995. The only anecdote I'll say about this, and I hope they never find the video, is that when I was in Benzie working in the prosecutor's office, there were 2 state troopers that were assigned to that county. Mm-hmm. One was a woman, one was the man, and I must have gotten at least 3 times the police reports on my desk from the woman. So that tells you who was working.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, it depends on where you are, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, for traffic stops and whatnot.
And if they can do the job, or anybody can do the job, then they should be eligible to be state police.
But thank you to all of our law enforcement officers.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Okay, this one is wild. So another 30 years back. The Battle of the Overpass. The United Auto Workers had recently organized the other two of the big three automakers, and they were about to hand out leaflets near a Ford plant during a shift change. Ford's security service showed up. According to Wikipedia, about 40 of them. Someone ended up with a broken leg. Ford tried to say the whole thing never happened, but they took pictures and then they secretly hid them, and then they turned over a bunch of fakes, so they were able to get the photos out of there to prove that the whole thing happened. And Ford did end up organizing shortly after that.
Yeah, and that would certainly bring a lawsuit today.
And it was crazy enough that it got a name, the Battle of the Overpass.
Battle of the Overpass. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the Detroit area.
Mm-hmm. And also May 26, 1927, the last Model T was produced, and that was sold from 1908 to 27. And the Model T was involved in a lot of marketing, promotions, including participating in the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb.
Wow. Pikes Peak goes up over 14,000 feet in Colorado, and often the weather is very different on the top of the mountain than it is on the bottom. Where'd you get the picture from?
Public domain.
Okay.
I don't know who took it in the first place, but
okay. But you can see the snow up there. That would be similar to what it might look like today, because there is snow on the tops of the mountains out there in Colorado. But the Pikes Peak is west of Colorado Springs. We went out there once and as a family and did not get to Pikes Peak, but we did take the road to Cripple Creek, which was partly one lane, and my father did a very skillful job of navigating us along that road.
What was the thing that you climbed with Marie?
That was Long's Peak in Rocky Mountain National Park.
Oh,
and we got chased down by lightning. We got up above tree line. We never made it to the top of the mountain, and we were coming down the mountain, and it was lightning around us. So Marie and I crawled under a bridge. There was a bridge, and we just crawled under the bridge to wait there. And a couple of guys came running down the mountain with the lightning and came under the bridge. And it turns out one of the guys, these two guys, was a Grand Rapids policeman. And we're talking with the guy, and the guy says, you look familiar, And I said, well, I'm Bill Steffen. He went, holy cow. And I'm meeting you under a bridge during a thunderstorm. But that was Long's Peak, and that was quite the hike. We hiked up to about 13,000 feet. We were above tree line, and then I saw the thunderstorms building up, and I had not a good idea to be out here on top of a mountain. So we got down the mountain probably 8 times faster than we did going up. We didn't want to waste any time getting back, with the storm going on.
All right. What is the state motto of Colorado? And here are your options. Is it Eureka? I have found it. Nothing without providence or deity. Michiganders hike and open Kilwin stores here. Or equal rights.
Let's see. Let's see. B sounds very 18th century, and Colorado goes back a ways. Eureka, I have found it. Let's see. I guess I'll guess B.
Very good. It is B. So now going back to these. A is another state. Do you know that one?
Which is what? Eureka?
Yeah, that's a different state.
Oh, okay. California?
Yep, that's California.
Wow,
and equal rights is Wyoming.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Wyoming, I think, was the first state to have a woman governor.
No, good for them.
Yeah, that's a conservative state, but women fared better in Wyoming and I think in Montana for a while. There was an old episode of The Lone Ranger where I believe it was Marjorie Main was the town barber, and she was the toughest hombre in town. And so everybody, they instead of putting money in the bank, they put it in her safe. And the whole half hour she was busy, beating up all the bad guys. And I thought, well, this was kind of a fun half hour.
Okay, Sault Ste. Marie, this is 1668. St. Mary's Church was built, and it is believed to be the first permanent wooden structure in Michigan. And the church says that there are only 2 Catholic churches in the United States that are older.
Wow. And that would have been a time when the French were there, I would assume, since they were the ones
Mhm.
that named the Sault Ste. Marie.
And then
Uh,
the present building was built in 1881.
oh,
And we
okay.
went to Sault Ste. Marie when I was about 2 years old, right?
Yeah, I've been there before several times. We've gone up a couple of times up past Sault Ste. Marie on that road along the east shore of Lake Superior up to Wawa, and what else? Chapleau is off to the right there, a little bit away from Lake Superior.
I
forget
don't have any recollection of it.
Yeah, they only that road, that really nice 2-lane road was built in the 60s, I think the early to mid 60s, north of Sault Ste. Marie, and before that, that area east of Lake Superior had nothing but like dirt roads and 2 tracks. There just wasn't much of anything up there. I mean, and they got a lot of snow, which meant it didn't melt off until May. So people would come up there and fish and hang out, and there were tons of mosquitoes during the summertime, so you had to be aware of that. But that's interesting. And that goes all the way back into the 1600s. Wow.
Yeah, the 1600s.
Mm-hmm.
And our photo from John Scully for the day. Beautiful blue sky. Looks like a wonderful place to be.
So am I supposed to guess whether it's Twin Lake or Meadow Lake?
I couldn't tell, so I just wrote them both down.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, John sends us some wonderful pictures, and that is yet another one there. And that's the way it looked up here. If you looked east toward the land, you were seeing more of those puffy cumulus clouds. And if you looked west toward the open water of Lake Michigan, you saw skies were clear. And by the way, I should mention again, keep some sunblock handy if you are apt to burn. Even if you're not apt to burn, your skin can get wrinkled up by being in the sun. So putting on a little bit of sunblock is a good idea. SPF 30 or above is best.
And I only know my Muskegon lakes from my summers at Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp, which you never went swimming in the lake. They said that was a bad idea.
Why is that?
They said you'd get swimmer's itch.
Oh, I was
So
going
they
to
had
say.
pools, but I never saw anyone ever go in the pool because you're doing your art between 5 and 8 hours a day, depending on what program you're in. So it was, I don't know.
Well, outside of
like a
Blue Lake,
lifeguard
there's
at the
really nothing
Olympics.
on that lake much, is there? I mean, it's not like it's ringed with cottages like most of the
No,
lake.
not a lot. You would have campfire nights down there, but nobody ever went swimming.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah. Well, my fire in the wood stove has gone out, but that got us through a chilly week here, and it's been very pleasant here. Look at that. That's a beautiful picture. That is
Isn't it beautiful? The blue
John-
colors.
Yeah. Isn't that neat? That beautiful blue sky, and of course that's reflected in the water. Water is clear. Water doesn't have a color to it. It's colorless, and it reflects the color of the sky. So if the sky is gray, the water's gray. If the sky is blue, the water's blue. So that's a beautiful picture.
And then one from John Doherty up in Benzie.
Yes, is that an aloe, or
Looks like it.
that could have been?
Yeah.
Yeah, but one of the many beautiful plants that we have growing in Michigan. We're about halfway between and in fact, John up there in Benzie County is pretty much halfway between the pole and the equator. That 45-degree dividing line is right up there along M37 as you drive up to Old Mission Point.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a sign there on I-75 too as you pass by Gaylord.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. The latitude of the 40s is called the roaring 40s because we get a lot of windy days here, and that's certainly been the case this spring. We've had a lot of days with wind gusts up around 30 to 40 miles an hour. Well, I guess it's time to say goodbye, everybody. So I want to thank you so much for hanging with us here until the very end. Hope you have yourself a great day today, and keep a thought in your heart for all those people that served in the armed forces here over the years. Goodbye.